Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about Malik Washington, wide receiver out of Virginia. We're going to be looking at him in terms of his data profile, looking at his athleticism traits, his production traits, to kind of see what he might project as at the next level. Just some interesting facts. Washington was an all ACC wide receiver in 2023 and we're going to get into his profile. So first off, looking at his market share numbers. To learn more about these numbers, just pause the video real quick. But he had a 95 percentile receiving market share production score, 98 percentile in terms of total offensive market share production, and then 90 percentile in terms of his touchdown market share data. Great numbers in terms of his overall production profile. Hit the All-Pro, Pro Bowl starter ranges very easily for him. Now, when you look at his efficiency scores, this is where things get a little in terms of his efficiency scores, he was below the 30 percentile in terms of his yards per reception, and also below the 30 percentile in terms of his touchdown percentage, which is touchdowns per touch. So he was not the most efficient wide receiver when the ball was in his hands. And most of the time when wide receivers produce like this, when they have a low touchdown per touch and a low yards per reception production score, it typically means that they're like a slot receiver. They're wide receivers that win in terms of getting yardage, if you will, but they don't really win when it comes to in the end zone as much compared to that particular area. They're guys that play in space and make a lot of their money working in space, and kind of get plays that are a little closer to the line of scrimmage, more screens, different stuff like that. Get them the ball and let them do something with it. Essentially, it's kind of what a lot of those guys are when they score like this. So that's kind of the only concern is his efficiency scores are definitely below average, which a lot of that can be attributed to offensive scheme. But there are some concerns when guys produce like this. Now, when you look at his athleticism traits, here are the positives for him in many ways. Based on his athleticism, he had a 94 percentile explosion score and a 75 percentile speed score for his size. Those are great athleticism traits for him. Hasn't quite done any of the flexibility testing, which is things like the short shuttle, the three cone, and those types of things. But we have enough data to really say some good things about him already. So when his flexibility testing comes in, it might help him, it might hurt him, but he's pretty much what he is right now from a data perspective. The flexibility testing is not going to raise him or drop him that dramatically, realistically. So there's enough to really be able to project him right now. And based on his athleticism traits, he does have elite athleticism in terms of explosiveness for his size with a good speed score as well. So these are good athleticism traits for him. Now, when you look at his adjusted production traits, this is where the real concerns are with Malik Washington, is when you look at adjusted production, which looks at his age, his level of competition, and of course, the team that he was on. And when you look at those particular areas, he scored kind of 26 percentile in terms of his age, 61 percentile in terms of his MSA rating, and then 66 percentile in terms of his pass rating. Again, pass rating deals with all of the production scores plus efficiency, and then the MSA rating takes out efficiency scores to just look at the regular market share production. And when you look at Malik Washington from that perspective, he's close to the starter averages. But when you look at the All-Pro and Pro Bowl areas, he's nowhere near those types of guys. So he definitely kind of struggles a little bit. He's in the struggle bus due to his age and also due to his level of competition and the team that he was on. So those are definitely some concerns from that perspective. Now, in terms of comparisons for him, these are all the wide receivers that compare to Malik Washington based on his production profile. Just a general list, guys like Kevon Lucas, Brandon Stokely, a higher end version of this would be Marvin Harrison, Jamison Crowder, and then of course Tyler Boyd. Again, a lot of these guys are slot receivers, with the exception of maybe Marvin Harrison, but most of the wide receivers with this profile for Washington are slot receivers. So that's kind of what you're, looking at with him, is a guy who wins in that kind of area. Was very productive, was productive in that particular area, but definitely a concern that, he does have some limiting factors in terms of his efficiency. Moving to the outlook, Malik Washington profiles as a backup to outlier Pro Bowler long term. His production and efficiency data points towards his usage in college primarily being a slot receiver. He has elite explosiveness and above average speed, which makes up for his lack of size. But Washington is a fun receiver to watch who could become a starter long term. I think the best comparison for Malik Washington, realistically, would be Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney comes from a similar kind of situation, playing at a team and a level of competition that was a little off, but did have elite athleticism traits and produce in a similar fashion to Malik Washington. So he could go to Malik Washington can go to a team if there's not a whole lot of competition. He's going to be that team's best wide receiver or second best wide receiver when he gets there. So a lot of this is going to depend on where he goes. But his age is a concern. His production traits are a concern because he's not perfect. But overall, I like him as a prospect. I just think that if you were to make him like a top 5 in this particular class, it's a little too high for him. But if you put him in, say, the top 10, top 12 in terms of projecting him, I think that's when we get a little more comfortable in terms of taking him in this particular draft class. But that's Malik Washington based on his production profile. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Jim Coburn. You can find my other work at Geometrics on X, formerly known as Twitter. Also check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/jcoburn. Also like, comment, and subscribe, people. If you like this video, you want to see more videos like this, be sure to do that. It really helps the channel out a lot. Also hit the ring, hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever a new video of mine comes out. And I'll see you guys in the next one, everybody. Peace.